All you have to do. Okay, my thing's talking to me. I don't know if y'all heard that or not. Um, yeah, it's in recording in progress. Okay. If it's on the approved list, that's awesome. That just means that UIL has already given it its approval, and all you need is to talk to the publishing company or the playwright to make sure you have the rights to perform. If it's not on that list, then you have an extra step involved, and you have to get UIL's permission to do that particular piece before. I always did that before I got the publisher's permission, because I didn't want to waste dealing with the publisher if UIL was going to say no. Except one time. One time I did the play first with the publisher because actually it was the very last play I directed it for competition. I did a one-man show and I emailed the playwright and said, I'd like to turn this into an ensemble piece of 7. And he was like, okay, see if you can do it. And so when I emailed Austin for the approval, Paula, she instantly called me and said, what are you sending me? And I said, well, it's a one-man show, but I've already talked to the playwright and I'm turning it into 7 people. And she's like, well, okay, let's see what you do. And so, so that was the one time I did go to the playwright
What
first.
show was that?
Every Brilliant Thing.
Okay.
It was at State in 2022. So I mean, it did okay. It got all the way to State, but yeah, it was a one-man show, and I was shocked that the playwright let me do it, to be honest with you. But I knew it would be well received. I mean, it's more of an important societal piece, in my opinion, than a one-act play, but it worked. So, but you have to, that's the thing about having an approved play. If it's not on one of those 2 lists, and as a matter of fact, that list has just been updated in the last few weeks, and that's on our website, the UIL website. It's also on our website, the TDA website, and under resources if you get to that point. But you need to make sure time limit, company numbers, and you've got an approved play. And the play has to be approved by 2 different people, UIL first, and then the publishing company, or you cannot produce it. Now, you may want to produce a play you've written. A lot of directors these days are finding that they're willing to challenge themselves into writing a piece. And so they do that. That still has to be approved by UIL, even if it's a self-written piece. UIL must approve the play you're producing. There are no ands, ifs, or buts on that. That's one of those hard and heavy ones. Now, let's say you have a question about the rule book says, like, you want to use a gurney with wheels on it. Well, the rule in the handbook says if it's produced with wheels, then it's an allowable thing. But not exactly. The play needs to say without which the play cannot be produced. And then that's a Paula call. You just send Paula an email. I will tell you, I send emails all the time. Paula's told me no one time. I was directing The Lost Boy, and I wanted a trunk with wheels on it to be the boat that Peter Pan and Tinkerbell are in. And so I sent her the schematic. I said, I just want to put wheels on this trunk. And she said, you can do that play without that. I said, but I want it. She goes, I don't care if you want it. You can do the play without it, and you don't need wheels. So we figured it out, and I had some very strong boys just carry that thing all over the place. So Paula's awesome. If there's something you need and you don't know, you can't find the rules for sure, you need to ask her and just get that stuff in writing. But the hard and fast ones are pretty easy. 40 minutes, number of people, and it's got to be approved. Okay, I'm not paying much attention.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I know we should look for plays that are 40 minutes. I know that. But my junior high play, it says it runs about 35.
Okay.
You think that, I mean,
okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. If you're choosing that play because you think that's what your kids need to do, and that's what's in the best needs of your kids, and you have the kids to do that play, then I say do it. Just because it's a short play doesn't mean it's a bad play. I'm just saying that's the way the contest kind of has gone. We have kind of abandoned the one act play philosophy. I will tell you, there is a playwright at the high school level. Many people do her shows. Mandy Connor, if you know Mandy, Mandy has written some beautiful pieces for contests, and she has written them for one act play because she wrote them for her companies. And now she puts either Next Stage Press does it or Play Scripts. I can't remember. One of the two is where her plays are, and her plays are all right at 40, right under, because she's
Yeah.
written them for one act play.
Tanya, I'm sorry. She also has one at Stage Partners as well.
And it's Stage Partners. Okay. She's got some good ones. Zalatis wrote some that are under the 40 for one act play purposes. So just because they're under the 40 doesn't mean they're bad. It just means we just kind of haven't gone that direction in a while, but now we're kind of headed back that direction with some of these playwrights that are writing for the one act play contest. And I love it because it's directors who are writing, so they know what we need. And they know what we need to tell a story. We know what we need to produce good theater. And so there are some good ones.
Something real quick. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go right ahead, Nathan.
I wrote our play for a competition last year,
Mhm.
and I'm willing to send it out to anybody that wants to look at it. I'm rewriting it because I'm thinking I'm going to use it again at my high school level. But anybody's free. If you just want to send me your email, I'll send it to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And there are lots of people out there writing scripts that do that. I've been around long enough, and some of you may have been too. Confederate Letters, I think, was the first time that was a big thing. And that's been about 20, 25 years ago. The play called Confederate Letters was written in a 1A school, I believe, produced it. And then after that, like, everybody was doing it because it was one in our own community who wrote it. And it was a really cool show. But it's an older one. But just because it's under 40 doesn't make it, you shouldn't do it. Okay. I mean, your play has to be under 40 for it to be legal once you compete. So if you start there, you're pretty good anyway. Just make sure it's good literature. That's the only thing, is make sure it's good literature. Okay. I wanted to spend the majority of my time on this next thing because I really think some people believe there is a magic formula to winning one act play. There's a magic formula. And I wish there were, and I wish I knew what it was, because I would put it in a bottle and sell it. But there truly is no magic formula. I really think there are three steps that oh, wait a minute. Taylor had a question. Yes. She said, is the time limit at least 18 minutes? Yes. Your play has to go 18 minutes. Thank you for bringing that up. I should have said that. The play has to go between 18 and under 40, between 18 and 40. I will tell you, I contest managed one time where the play was at 17:30 and they were done. We made them leave it. We made them leave the lights on until 18:01. We just made them leave the lights on because we didn't want, the goal is never to disqualify if you're a contest manager. And I do that too. We don't want anybody disqualified. We will do whatever we've got to do. But like, literally, we left, the director knew that it was going to be under time. So we just told her, tell your kid to leave lights on. Now, we couldn't do anything about it when it's running. That was a decision they had to make, because contest managers, we don't interfere. But that was the decision. We said, you need to make this decision. Leave the lights on until 18:01. And they did. So it really worked out. Okay, so back to this magic formula. There's really 3 steps that I really think you need to do to have this magic formula and to win. Number 1 always will be pick the right play. Pick the right play. Do not pick your favorite play in the whole world that you don't have the kids to do and try to force your kids into that play. You got to look at what is coming and what you have to work with, and then pick the play for those kids. Pick the play for those kids. If you have got the perfect 2 boys to do the diviners, if you've got Cece and you've got Buddy and you've got the sister, do the diviners. I don't care how many times it's been done. Your kids have never done it. You've never do the diviners because everybody's like, I'm not doing the diviners. That's overdone. Well, have you overdone it? Then it's not overdone. Pick the play that fits your kids. The reason I alluded to the play earlier that I did that was the one man show that I wanted to do as an ensemble. It is about a young man who has survived his mother's suicide attempts his entire life, and she is successful. And the play is about how he dealt with that. Well, I chose that play because we had lost 2 kids in our community, and my kids needed to do the play to heal. If we won, we won. If we didn't, we didn't. Who cared? My community and my kids needed to do that play. So that's why we did it. I have always in my entire life, because I saw the illegal version with the red and the dancing witches when I was 9 years old, I've always wanted to do the Crucible. I have never had a John Proctor and Abigail and Elizabeth at the same time. Now, I've several times thought to myself, I'm going to force these kids. I'm doing the Crucible before I quit. I never did because I didn't have the kids. And if there is a magic formula to one-act play, it starts with the play. Now, how do you find the play? I believe Cody sent out a free resource where I went in and kind of packaged up how to do this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna shoot straight with y'all right now. I use Chat GTP like he's my best friend, and we actually call him Chad at my school. Chad, not Chat. He's Chad. I type in everything I want him to do, and then ask him to format things to where it looks the way I want it to. So he put a couple of plays on there that I'm like, no, we don't need to do those plays. But there are plays that people need to be out there reading anyway. But the key is go see plays. Read. If you have a school district that will let you, oh, Miss Vivi, I like that. We call him Chad. That's in the chat, y'all. Oh, my brain went around the bend. There was a great one-act play director named Lou Ida Marsh that was like 700 years old when I was a new one-act play director. And I went to a workshop with her and she forgot what she was going to say. She goes, well, just went around the bend. I'll come back. So I've adapted that into, I'm feeling it now. But on that list, there's lots of things that there's publishers on there. Check out what's happening regional theater. If your administration will let you, go watch other contests before you go to one. If you've never directed one-act play before, I'm going to challenge you to go find a contest near you and go watch it happen as an audience member so that when it's happening to you, you're kind of seeing it. You will already have kind of experienced that. But go see plays. Go see regional theater. Go see the community theaters and go see the colleges near you. Go see the other high schools around you. There's a sweet, precious man in this group right now that lives 15 minutes down the road from me, and he's going to do some fun stuff this fall. And my kids can't wait to go see Sweet Surrender because we saw it at Region last year. And yeah, it's Jason. He's waving at y'all. The play is hilarious. And so go see those kind of things, and then go see your friends that live down the road from you. Find out when their shows are and go see them. But go to contests, go see plays, do that kind of thing. But doing the play is the key. There was a school in my district last year. Well, my school's district. I wasn't competing, but I was there and watched, and the kids were fantastic. But the play was like, ugh. It wasn't going to compete with the other plays. Not the kids, they were great, but the title didn't give them enough to do. And I'm not saying that I'm criticizing, and I wasn't an adjudicator, but I kind of am as a fine arts person. Pick a play that will challenge your kids, that's going to make them grow, but make sure you have the kids to do it. Okay. And I'm going to say this, and this is going to be kind of like a hot take. Some people are going to go, you are so wrong. And some people are going to go, you're dead serious. If you don't have enough boys to do a show, let's say of Mice and Men, it's 14 boys and 1 girl. But if you only have like 4 really good boys and you've got like 5 really good girls, do not do Of Mice and Men. Don't make those girls play the boys just because you wanted to do that play. Okay? It just doesn't always work. And I know sometimes you need to do that, but avoid that if possible, because the more reality you're putting out for the audience to see, it's just more that people are going to buy it. It doesn't mean you can't ever do it, but choose the play you have the kids for, and hold on to Of Mice and Men till you've got 14 football players that want to be on stage, but only 2 of them really are very good actors. You know what I mean? Hold off on Of Mice and Men until you have that company. So number 1 is the play. Okay. Number 1 is the play. Number 2, there's no way around this. You have to do the work. Okay. Nothing offended me more than when, no kidding, somebody walked up to me one year and said, we need, because I've never worked on a stage except in Ennis. I've always been in a cafeteria or in a gym. And somebody walked up to me and said, we need to have a meeting in here. Can't y'all just go on home? I said, no, actually, I have it reserved and we're not going anywhere. How hard could it be? They just learn some lines and walk around and say them. Oh, okay. Nothing offends me more than that statement. There, and you guys, it's like I'm preaching at the choir. You guys know there's a whole lot more to it than memorize a few lines and walk around and say them. But
Well,
sometimes
our stage is in the cafeteria.
yeah, mine has always been in the cafeteria. Well, there's a
So
cafetorium, yeah.
yeah, so our high school play that we did this last year, we measured out on our cafeteria floor and we moved the cafeteria tables.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
that's what I've had to do the first few rows had to go away so we'd have enough
Yep.
space. But yes.
yeah.
And so, but the work involved, I have some friends who, and I have one particular precious friend. I don't know why I can't win. I don't know why my 1X won't win. I said, well, you don't ever practice. You don't rehearse. You can't just do it 40 minutes in class 5 days a week and expect those kids to be able to do a 40-minute show. You just can't. If there is a magic formula, it starts with the play, and the next step is you got to put in the work. UIL lets you have 8 hours of rehearsal a week. I will tell you, I never did 8 hours. I did 6, and I reserved those other 2 if we got stuck closer to contest time, because I didn't want to be up there 8 hours a week. I get it. I mean, I had kids at home too. But you got to do the work. And that means the director, we're going to talk about this at the next webinar. If you decide to join us, we're going to talk about how do you plan a season. And I always announced my season to my kids at the banquet in May the year before. They knew the fall show. They knew the children's show. They knew what the coffee houses were going to be, and they knew what the 1-act was. Because if I got lucky and got some really good move-ins, that's awesome. But I was going to pick a show I had returning kids for. And then we could cast around that if necessary. But as the director, I spent the entire summer doing the research. I was ready to direct my 1-act play when school started. And a lot of times that's a problem because I was so ready to direct the 1-act. I wanted to get in there and start my 1-act play. And I'm like, okay, stop it. You got a musical to direct right now. Quit. But you got to be willing to put in that work. That's the magic formula. You got to do good theater. And good theater is that work, putting in that time.
So I have a question. So did you ask the kids that, say, like for junior high, we have a few 8th graders that came back this year, and the rest of them are all 7th grade, so they're new. But our high school, we have returning students, which is plus. So did you just ask your students if they were going to do the next year, if they were, not a senior?
No. And here's why. My kids lived and died and breathed and ate. If they in 1-act, they weren't going to not do it. Now, the first couple of groups were, but once you set that tradition in, and because that's step number 3 that I have after you do the work, you got to believe you're going to win. The first year I came to the school, I'm currently the fine arts director. This school had never advanced out of district in the history of the school, ever. And I'd been to state at my school the year before. So I come in and I tell them, okay, here's the calendar. Here's where district is. Here's where by district. And they start laughing. I'm like, why are we laughing? They're like, we don't win here. I'm like, oh, then get out of my program because I win, you know, and I don't mean that cocky. I mean, that's how I dealt with them. But if you, and then once you establish that, and that kind of goes in with the other part of it is we had a lot of fun when I directed. And not because I was fun, just because we had to have time away from that play, but time together. So we went to the movies together. We went bowling. We had parties. We had hay rides, just the company, all kinds of bonding and stuff all year long. And if you get to the point with your kids on the high school level, I would not suggest this for the middle school level, take them on a retreat. I did the I did the Lost Boy. Yes, that's not what I'm talking about. I did the Last Lifeboat, which if you have a powerhouse of a boy at the high school level, you need to read that play. It's brilliantly written. The Last Lifeboat is the story of Ismay, who owned the Titanic and took the last seat on the last lifeboat when the ship went down, and what happened to his life because he did that. We did a retreat. We went for 4 days to Branson, Missouri, and went to the Titanic Museum. They got to tour the artifacts. That's the only time we ever went out of state because it was a special circumstance, but we had to raise the money. I mean, school didn't get paid for a penny of it. We had to raise every bit of it, but have fun with your kids. Do the work and make it fun, and then they'll come back. And the second you're done, they're going to say, what are we doing next year? What are we doing next year? That's the next question. What are we doing next? So if there's a magic formula, one, it's pick the right play. That's the key. Pick the right play for your kids, and then it's going to compete. You've got to know what's happening because the truth, this is just me, but if you're going to spend that kind of time on a project, you want it to be successful. Football boys don't get up at 5:30 every morning and go to work out and expect to lose every Friday night, or they're not going to be coming to practice. That's what I wanted for my kids. And so pick the right play, one that's going to compete and that could win, do the work, and then have fun. And then you just got to believe in it. It's not about being cocky. It's about being confident and letting your play do the work, you know, and be its voice. And if you are at the point of recruiting, go talk to football coaches, go talk to your ag people, get the kids that, like, I got a great kid that could do that, and recruit them and see if you couldn't get them in. Some of you were here right when we started, and a young man hugged me and walked out. He is my high school theater director here. He was my student here. And he was a football player, and his freshman year, he was in my theater 1 class, and I said, do you make good grades? And he said, yes, ma'am. I said, I need a light technician because my light technician had failed. And I said, I need a light technician. Can you come run lights for my 1-act play? And he's like, yeah, I don't have anything to do. Well, the next year he was the lead in my 1-act play. And now he has a BFA in acting. He does commercial work and live theater work, has an agent in Dallas, and he's teaching high school theater. Because I went and got a football player because I needed a lighting technician. Okay? So go grab those kids. Go get them if you can. And that brought, you know, some other athletes our direction. And it didn't necessarily wasn't the nerd club anymore. Our athletes were doing it. Our cheerleaders were doing it. Oh my gosh. And we went to state. What? That didn't happen around here before then in anything. Cross country, our people can run, but you know, but it started a tradition, and that's going to get the kids coming back year after year, and they're going to want to be a part. So the last thing I want to kind of pop in and say something that has nothing to do with this particular thing, but it is a theater thing. And we will talk about it more the next before Cody's going to jump in a minute and have a couple of things to say. But if you have never been to TXETA, the State Theater Convention. It happens in October. This year, praise the Lord. And if you're close to Galveston, I'm sorry. We don't have to go all the way to Galveston. It's actually here in Arlington in the DFW area this year. Go, because you're going to meet other theater directors. You're going to meet adjudicators. You're going to be able to go to workshops where you network, but where you can learn other things. If you are interested in theatrical design, they have a whole thing about that contest. Paula Rodriguez does sessions about one act play and the rules. If you have the opportunity, go, go, go. I will be there. I go to, because they have fine art administrator meetings there. Just go. If your school will let you, go. txeta.org is the website. You can still register. And the cool thing about it is you can register right now, put everything, like you put your hotel on a credit card. And you can say that you're using a PO to register for the event, and they don't even make you pay the PO, because our POs, our school won't even open till mid-September. And so they'll let you do everything like through PO. So if your school will let you, it is worth your time. And it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but you don't really need to be there till Thursday. So it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's great. Once you start working with kids, they can audition there for colleges when we get to that point. But if you can go to TXETA, I'm just making a plug. Just go make the connections. Okay, I'm gonna go through this chat real quick and see if anybody had a question, or does anybody want to just like talk and ask a question?
I have a question. I
Yes.
am a veteran, but I'm taking over a new school. The last director left a sour taste in a lot of kids' mouth. They
Mhm.
enrolled in contests and didn't show up, that kind of thing.
Right.
How do I combat that and get kids to come back? Because I'm really nervous about not having enough kids to do what we need to do.
My first piece of advice is find out what else the kids do and be present. Go to the football games, go to the ag show. Yes, TXETA, that is correct. Go do all of those things. Be visible. Go sit with them in the cafeteria at lunch. I mean, when you come to oh my gosh, where are y'all? You're all there? There you are. I thought I turned that off. I'm so sorry. Go be visible to them. That's the biggest thing that I did is I was just visible. I went to every football game. I went to every volleyball game the first year. And I tried to do that every time I've been new at a school. I want them to see me supporting them doing the other things. So when I go grab them, I'm like, hey, you played a great game Friday night. Do you do anything in the fall after football? Because I'd love to have you come try lots. That's my biggest piece of advice is when you walk in, when there's been a little bit of a sour taste, they've got to see that you care about them before you're trying to pull them into your program, and then they'll come. And a side note, provide food. I'm not kidding. I have a fantastic speech team, but I have to feed them. Or they're like, where's the food? We have to bring in the food. They get brownies or cookies or just have food, and make it, they're like, oh, I'll at least get a snack, and be present, be visible. That's the biggest thing, I think.
The other thing I wanted to say, I don't know if you touched on it, but for the new teachers, if you're doing a play that's not on the approved list, there are deadlines that you have to meet.
Absolutely.
Or
If you're
junior
middle
high.
school, yeah. If you're middle school, it's 45 days before your contest. And most people compete in December, middle school-ish in my area. And that may be different in other areas, but up in North Texas, we do most of our stuff for middle school in December. High
It's November
school,
this year.
your all's is November.
In Cook County, it's November.
Oh, there you go.
Then I would say if you're doing one not on the approved list, put it in now.
The question is, how long is the turnaround to get a player approved? Yes, was that the question? I will tell you that my director that you just saw when he walked out, he sent his in on the deadline, the opening day, August 1st, and he has not heard back. So it's going to be a 4-week to 5-week turnaround. For high school, your deadline, I believe, is December the 6th. It may be the 10th, but I think it's the 6th. If you send it in and they get it on December 6th, it'll be past time for you to even do it before they'll get it back to you. So if you have a play you really want to do, I would get it sent in October at the latest. That's just an opinion. That's not a rule. Just to make sure it has turnaround time for you to get it back, to know you can legally start rehearsals and start working. Because there's nothing worse. And I know a person it happened to, that you work on a show, you work on a show, and you work on a show, and you just know it's going to get approved, and they don't approve it. And then you're starting over with 2 weeks before contest with something that's just on a list, and it's probably Shakespeare or something your kids they haven't done the homework for because it's in public domain. So just don't do that to yourself. Don't give yourself that kind of stress. What else? Anybody else?
Hey, Tanya, I'm gonna hop in real quick before,
in, come
in
on.
case anybody has to leave, we can stay and answer questions. But I just wanted to thank everybody for jumping on. It's, nearly 8 o'clock, and I know none of us are gonna go to bed even close to 8:30, right?
I'm old. As soon as I get off of
No,
here,
I'm talking to myself. I got 4 kids.
Oh.
They're about to go down. And then, if you don't go down with them, then you're back up. But so, hey, I wanted to reach out. Everyone in attendance is going to receive a special bonus. So everyone for free, I'm going to send Tanya's PDF on tips for recruiting students. I know that was kind of a conversation even for Mr. Nathan from Lancaster. I was trying to remember Lancaster, but anybody in attendance, I'm going to put in the chat that if you want to hop on with Tanya and get guidance through the year, she's going to be offering an amazing service. And it comes with 30 hours of professional development. And there's going to be 18 webinars. We're going to have I put the school community in there. I call it a Facebook group on steroids, basically because it has all the functions of a Facebook group, but with 10 times more functionality and tools and resources, and it allows for so much more conversation and discussion. And so we're trying to create that community, and that's free to join. But everyone in attendance you can join the year-long Directors Academy, and everyone is getting a $200 off. And so normally it's $699, comes with $599, comes with 30 hours of PD, 18 webinars. I think over a dozen, we're adding new courses of asynchronous courses. And so that brings it down to $399 for the whole year. It's available through purchase order. I'm gonna put that in the chat right now. So you just use the promo code webinar 200, and it's going to generate an invoice that's not due until October 1st. So I know budgets don't come out till September 1st, and then we all know how business offices are. And so it's probably taking at least 2 to 3 weeks before they even look at a requisition. So don't stress about it. Nothing's due at the earliest till October 1st. And if you need, another week or two, you just shoot me an email. But we'd love to take you on the guided tour through the year, especially if you want to just, like we talk about, make relationships, meet people, other theater directors, as well as hop on these discussions twice a month. We've got 18 webinars planned out to kind of walk through the season, guiding different steps throughout your progression of your one-act play, or really your theater journey this year. And so we'd love to have you join us. And so the first 10, and I put that in the chat, the first 10 are also going to get a 1-hour consulting session. I'm sorry, one consulting session with Tanya, to where she can answer very specific questions with you and maybe help you either pick out that play or work through some, recruiting issues that maybe you're afraid you have, or dealing with, administrative support, or whatever your biggest challenge is. We're going to, throw in that value for free for the first 10. We'd love to do it for everybody, but unfortunately Tanya has a lot going on, I guess. So,
I'm
she's
also
got
the yearbook sponsor, if you can
oh
imagine.
yeah, the yearbook, one-act play.
That's it right there.
But
That's it right
Tanya's a workaholic. And so if you get into that school community, you're going to see everything that she's already working on with the courses. And then you'll see a list of webinars that are available that we're going to be hosting throughout the year, as well as just being able to conversate in that community. We're working to get Paula to join the community. She said she's going to hop in at some point, just to make sure that we're following the rules and double, triple checking that we're doing everything as pertaining to the rule book, or providing everything according to what UIL wants. So we're an official UIL sponsor, so we get that kind of babysitting and double checking to make sure that that we're doing things the way UIL wants, which is what we want too. But so it's good to be double checked and triple checked. So We'd love to have y'all sign up. I put the link. The form is also available on the website, and so that brings it down to $399 for the whole year. That's 18 webinars for like $400. You get 30 hours of PD, and so you can write that to your school. And then I said, like, of course, the first 10 will get the free consulting session. So I'm going to send everyone out the free bonus of Tanya's recruiting students web tips and tricks for recruiting students, but for the play. But I also just wanted to extend that one-time bonus. It's only available now through the webinar, so next 24 hours. So the first 10 will get the consulting session, and then the $200 off goes away in 24 hours. And so obviously it's only for those in attendance because nobody else is going to know about it. So thank y'all for attending, and then I'll leave it up to Tanya for as long as she wants to answer questions. You know, she's more than welcome to stay and answer as many questions as she wants.
I do want to throw this out there. If you are going to stay with us and hang and be a part of the community, school has an app and you can put it on your phone and it's really easy to use and you don't have to get on your computer. You can just go straight to your phone and access it. And if you want to throw in a quick question, I will tell you that I'm really fast at responding to people. It gets on my nerves when I send something to my son and it's 4 hours later and I get K. I didn't ask a question that K was the answer to, but okay. But that's just me personally. So I'm pretty quick at answering questions if you have one. Would love to work with you this year. My goal is just to help. And if I know how to help you, I will. And if I don't, I will find somebody that does and I will ask them and I will get back to you. That's just theater changes kids' lives. It just does. And I believe in it. And I believe in you guys. And so I really want to do as much as we can to help this community grow so that kids have those connections and opportunities. But I can stay as long as you need. If anybody has a question or they want something quick or fast or.
Well, I see that Chelsea asked a question that I wanted to chime in on, that because I've spent literally all summer talking to administrators and coaching up other like speech and debate or UL coordinator coaches to go, you know, and ask for what they need. And so if you're worried about asking your administrator for, you know, you're literally required to have PD. And so, you know, the administrators, like you're required to have PD, and there's separate buckets of money to pay for professional development. And so there are theater TEKs. There are, you know, specific classroom recommendations for theaters. So it's not that hard to align that. Same thing with like speech and debate. And so I think it's usually a pretty easy sell. And especially if you want to go to these conferences and you want to develop a winning program and you can demonstrate that desire and that earnest, legitimate need to develop and meet people and grow. You know, I don't know too many administrators that are going to look at that and say no.
And then I saw a question that said, do I have any way that we screen for crew members, like when I'm casting or when I'm creating a company and doing crew members? I do, but it's not original to me. And I'm going to tell you all, if you will go to the UIL director's Facebook page and check that out and go under forms, there's like a little test that some director wrote, like that I always make my kids go take that test. Like, what are the rules for crew? What can you do? What do you do? I'll be honest. My crew, with the exception of my stage manager, who I chose from the beginning, they didn't even audition. They were my stage manager from the word go. You couldn't be on my crew unless I could also put you on the stage, because you never know what's going to happen at a contest, and you have to take that sound tech and they've got to go on stage. So, my crew became, I went in the auditioning, I always had an audition form and they could say, I prefer crew over being on stage. And so if they were really fantastic as actors, I might set aside and say, hey, I'd really want to use you on the stage. And they'd be, oh, okay. Or I might say, okay, I could use that one if I had to on stage, but they prefer crew. And I got enough kids right now that I can cover my show the way I want it to. And so I always made my crew audition to be in the show, except my stage manager. And somebody's asking about Tanya. I hope you say your name Tanya, like I say Tanya. Is it Tanya? Yes. Okay. There's a test. If you go to the UIL One Act Play Directors Facebook page, I think it's under forms, maybe. There's a box, and there is a test in there that says like accrue to, you just search it. I may have it in an archive somewhere, but if I put it out on our thing, it's completely stolen. But good theater directors are good thieves because they just, there's only so many new things in the world, to be honest with you. And we're all revamping it one way or the other. And so I'll see if I can find it and put it out on the community too. But it's on the UIL One Act Play Directors Facebook page. And just as a little warning, those of you that are on the One Act Play Directors Facebook page, I will tell you, I use it as Comedy Central, honestly, because people say and do things. I'm like, oh, you're going to get us all in trouble. Shut your mouth. Just be wary of people saying, hey, this is the answer to that question, because it might not be. Always double check any information you get on there. But the forms and stuff, I mean, you can adapt and use them how you want to. But it is a great resource, especially if you're looking for a certain type of play, or you're looking for somebody, like there's a director in your district and nobody can get a hold of them. You can say, hey, is so-and-so in this group? And then they will respond and you can get a hold of people. It's a great resource. Just always verify your sources, as I tell my kids. It's like the Wikipedia of information. It's not a super always correct source, but you can go verify if what they said is right or not.
That's why you should join the school, because that's going to be administered and maintained, and you're going to have Paula checking to make sure that there's not
absolutely
ill information there. They can't police the Facebook groups. No, I mean, they're not going to police us.
Paula's going to join us on a Q&A in October, probably too. We're going to bring her in and let her do some questions and answers, and just so y'all can get to meet her, as is Rachel Gomez, who is the state director for theatrical design. She is hilarious. If you know Rachel Gomez, you know a hilarious, funny, wonderful human being, and she's awesome. And so she's going to come in and join us probably in October too. When I asked her this week, she was like, I can't do it this week. I'm moving. I said, I don't want you this week, but she was great. So she's going to join us too. And those of you who would like to get involved in theatrical design, which I totally recommend, especially if you have sweet technical students who feel like they kind of get overlooked a little bit. Theatrical design makes them think. Oh my gosh, such a great contest. And they get to be their artsy, silly selves. And it's fantastic. Fantastic. What other questions we got in there? Oh, I see. Let me look.
Yeah. The school is free to join. The community, like, there's no charge. It doesn't set you up. There's no credit card required or anything. We're trying to get the community into a good, productive environment, apart from like just the Wild West of Facebook groups. So I just want to make that clear that.
Yeah. And join the community and be as active on it as you want to. But if you join us as a member of the Directors Academy, where you're going to get all the classrooms and all of the webinars and that kind of thing, just know that I'm building that out as the school year goes, so that as we go, more and more is going to get added. It's at a base level right now, so people could kind of see what was there, and then we're going to be adding as we go. I've got 3 things I'm putting in the morning, actually. So, and there will be some video tutorials later as we go. I've got a friend who's like a fantastic theater makeup artist. And so she's going to kind of do some video tutorials of like old age makeup and just basic stage corrective. And we'll upload a few like how-to videos. Those are in the works. They're not there right now, but they will be coming. And so we're going to be putting all kinds of things in there this year. And if you join us and you're like, hey, is there any way you could teach a lesson on blank? Then probably very much so. I could figure out, and if I couldn't, I could find an expert and we could see if we can't get them to teach a lesson on blank. And then we can add it into our Directors Academy. Anybody else have a question or anything? I know it's getting late, and I bring my own child to school at 5:15 every morning, so I'm ready to go to bed.
5:15.
Yes, I have a question about lighting. So my sound and lighting. My school does not have any of that.
Okay.
It's literally just fluorescent lights in the ceiling,
Yep.
and we have a curtain, and
Yep.
that it's very basic. How do you what would you recommend for me to be able to get my students ready to be able to do lighting and sound whenever we don't have any way to do lighting and sound before going to a stage?
Okay, that's a great question. And for several years I lived that reality as well. For sound, I'm going to give you this piece of advice. If you can find a way to raise some money, buy yourself your own travel sound system, even if it's just one little speaker and one little mixing board and an input for an iPad that's got music on it. So your kids are running music at home, and then you can travel to contest and run the music off your own system. So they're not having to learn another system. That's the first thing. That is the first thing I bought at both of the last two new schools I went to. They did not have sound or lights. So the first thing I bought was a sound system. So that's one less technician that is in panic mode when we get to contest. And then my second piece of advice is put out on this group or another group. It's like, does anybody have an old lighting board that they don't use anymore? Because what we did is I found out what the light board at contest looked like. And then we just labeled with tape, even though it didn't do anything. The light technician would sit beside me and we would say, okay, area 2 is going to go up. So they would just practice doing it, even though nothing's happening. They would literally practice with sliders, and you can create sliders if you can't find a board with pennies on a piece of paper. Like just, they can just, so they're moving light, because most sites will give you the option, do you want to program your lights or do you want to run manually? And when you have a kid that doesn't know what they're doing, I always suggest you go manual so you can do that practice slider thing at home. Just contact wherever you're going to contest and find out what kind of board they have, and ask them to send you a picture of it. And then you can have that picture and then teach that to your kids. That is the best advice that somebody gave me a long time ago when we did not have equipment. And so we just figured out, we did it with pennies until we finally found the community college got a new lighting system and their board was busted. It didn't even work. And so we said, can we have your board, or if you're just going to throw it away? And so they gave us our board and we just practiced with sliders. Nothing happens at home, obviously, because it's not hooked up to anything, but it just makes it an amazing transition for that technician. And it's not as scary when they get to contest. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Because last year because this year that my light sound person they're a senior this year, and so I'm not going to have them next year. So I'm like, how do I prepare for this and go ahead and start that process now with some of my kids that are younger.
Yeah, you
And
might make
having
that
them.
light sound person your stage manager and have them train the other two so that they're in charge of, I mean, that might be an option if you found new kids, and then they could always.
I have 9 students. So
We might only be able to do it with one, maybe. Yeah.
it's pretty much all right, everybody hands on deck. So right now we're still trying to find what play, and so we're trying to find them with like I have 4 actresses. That's all I have. And just trying to make it work with who I got. So
Right. No, I hear
but
you.
so just like a soundboard, a lighting board, or a sound system and a lighting board. And what else did you had said?
I said if you could get your own, like raise money and buy your own sound, and you can buy it on Amazon for real cheap. It won't be like the top line, but
Yeah.
it's something to
Yeah,
start with. And that's what we did. That's
sure.
how we started.
Yeah, because last year I just had a speaker.
Yes.
And we made our own sound stuff and everything else in like Canva and things like that, and just to be able to make it work. And so
But that's awesome, because that's what live theater is. Because there are going to be times later in life they're doing summer rep out on a stage in a park somewhere that has no electricity. So, I mean, they're going to be such amazing problem solvers.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Were there any more questions or anything? And we can roll off of here. If not, I'm looking. Okay, I don't see any more. I have loved visiting with you guys. get on that school and ask questions or chat or visit. And I encourage you to join us in the community, the Directors Academy, if you can. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so good this year. All right. Well, I think that's it, Mr. Cody.
Thank you everybody for coming. Like I said, if you need anything, just feel free to reach out. Y'all have a good night. Thanks, Tanya.
Bye now. Bye. Talk to you later.